Hello everyone, it's Friday, July 4th, and it's time for your Minidisc weekly update. So first order of business, the Ultimate Ears 30th anniversary summer sale is now on. So right now you can score yourself a massive 30% discount on the UE11, UE18 Plus, UE Live and UE Premiere custom IEMs. So you can follow the link in the description of this video to contact us or to make a booking for your 3D ear scan. This week, I also wanted to talk in more detail about two IEMs that have landed in the store recently, the Elysian Acoustic Labs Apostle and the Fourte Ears Mefisto. The Elysian Acoustic Labs Apostle was something that I first heard in prototype form back last year at StereoNet. And it was described to me as a sort of baby Annihilator at the time. And that was kind of interesting for me because honestly, I'm not personally the biggest fan of the Annihilator 2023, even though it's been a super popular flagship IEM for us. Now, the Annihilator 23 has this interesting sound where it's thickened at the low end, but at the same time, the layering and the articulation of the sound is super top notch. So you end up with this interesting sort of holographic wall of sound effect when you listen to it. That's the cool part of the Annihilator sound, and a big component of that part is that the high frequencies on the Annihilator have a prominent shimmery kind of feel to them because of the electrostatic drivers. Now, personally, for me, that shimmeriness really stands out. And I find that even though the Annihilator isn't harsh or sibilant, there's a certain wispiness to the high frequencies that personally I find a bit distracting, but a lot of people do like that sound, so what do I know? But that brings us to the Apostle, and I've got to say I really like the Apostle because the Apostle doubles down on the note thickness of the Annihilator, so it goes from slightly thick to almost thumpy. The mid-range, the vocals are pushed forward a little bit, but most importantly for me, that wispiness from the E-stat drivers is pulled back. So rather than being distracting to me, it's more of a charm point, an interesting part of the sound without completely disappearing. Also, thanks to the extensive venting on the Apostle, the soundstage on the Apostle is quite a bit larger in feel compared to the more kind of locked in your head feeling of the Annihilator's soundstage. So the Apostle is like the fun-loving brother of the Annihilator. It's got more mid-bass doofiness, and while I can tell that it's not quite as articulate and clean as the Annihilator, out of those two IEMs, for me, the Apostle would definitely be the pick. And now we come to the Mefisto. Now the Mefisto is a new IEM from Fourte Ears, and it slots in just below the flagship Macbeth. The Macbeth is an IEM that I would describe as mostly neutral with somewhat forward and super articulate upper vocals. Personally, I would prefer a little bit more mid-bass than what the Macbeth offers, but I can definitely appreciate the Macbeth's super clean but not clinical sound. Like with the Apostle, the Mefisto adds a lot of bass and mid-bass warmth when compared to the flagship model. So with the Mefisto, you get something that's quite dynamic and punchy and dense sounding, but also very fast. But, and this is why I wanted to talk about the Apostle and the Mefisto in the same video, because along with the extra mid-bass warmth, the Mefisto also adds a particular peak to the high frequencies. I think the peak is somewhere around 6 kilohertz, and it gives a lot of instruments a sort of hard edge to the sound. Now, I think that for a lot of people, they're gonna like this peak because it makes things sound hyper detailed, and it makes the high frequencies stand out even when the bass and the mid bass is quite prominent. But for me, for whatever reason, I think I'm just allergic to this particular frequency. When I hear the Mefisto, all I can hear is the cymbals going kind of tick, tick, tick in my ear the whole time. So it's sort of distracting. Now, like I said, I think I might just be allergic to this particular peak because everyone else we've shown the Mefisto seems to like it. And Joseph here at the store loves the Mefisto, just like he loves the Macbeth. But these kind of differences, I think, are what makes the hobby fun. So, of course, as always, come in, have a listen, let us know what you think. This is Lachlan for Minidisc TV, and we'll see you next time.